I felt as though I was in the way, as though I was, I don't know, I was just there because I was ill, but the nurses had got too much to do and not enough nurses to look after the patients.
I was visiting someone in hospital and I noticed the woman over the road in the opposite bed wasn't getting her dinner. It was stuck on the side, so I just went over and helped her because it was getting cold. Who wants it a cold dinner?
Our research using the adult inpatient survey looks at people's responses to questions on were they treated with dignity and respect during their hospital stay, and did they receive enough support with eating if they needed it. And we found, looking at people's responses to those questions, that really the problem of poor and inconsistent standards isn't limited to one or two outlying trusts or to particular wards, but really it's a very general and widespread problem affecting the vast majority of acute hospital trusts.
Part of my job is personal care, and the clients that have been in hospital, at least 2 to my knowledge, have had their false teeth go missing. And obviously that means pretty much a soft diet until their teeth are remade, so they could be without them for literally months.
We found that around a third of respondents actually needed help with eating during their hospital stay. Of those that indicated that they need help with eating, around 40% didn't or sometimes didn't get the help that they needed with eating from staff. And we think that that affects around 1.5 million inpatients on an annual basis, around 750,000 of whom would be age 65 or above. If we look at the over 65s and think about who was more affected by poor and inconsistent standards of support with eating, we find that the oldest of the old, the over 80s, were particularly affected, that women were particularly affected, and also individuals who experience a disability or a limiting long-standing illness. So, for example, they might have cancer, a cardiovascular problem, or a physical mobility problem, or hearing or sight loss. We found that those groups were particularly affected amongst older people.
I had no help on how can I actually get mum to eat. They give me the menus, and it wasn't until virtually the last day that they actually came up with saying, well, we have a soft menu. And I said, well, why didn't someone tell me this?
This research is incredibly important to us at Age UK because for the first time it really starts to uncover who's at most risk of poor care, why that poor care might be happening, and critically some of the things that we might be able to do to address it by working together and looking at those real intervention points that can make the biggest difference.
Now we'll move this round so you can reach your food. Okay? As well as assessment, we'll also look at the mealtime service and how we can support patients to have an adequate intake through giving them meals on a red tray so that we recognise that they need support with eating. We also operate a protected mealtime service, so that allows time for staff to focus solely on the mealtime provision, making sure there's no interruptions to patients' mealtimes and they don't miss their meals. We also allow patients' visitors to come in at that time and bring in food from home if that's preferable to the patient.
There are a number of simple actions that health professionals and care assistants can take to make sure that people have the help that they need to eat and drink at meal times. Make sure that people are able to wash their hands and that they're sitting up comfortably and ready to eat and to enjoy their meal.
When you're sitting out for your meal, is that better?
Is the food within reach? If they have glasses or dentures or hearing aids, are those in place when they begin eating? So will they be able to see what they're eating and to enjoy their food as a bit more of a social experience? Is the person able to eat the food that they've ordered? So is it something that they like? Is it something that they're going to enjoy? And for those individuals who perhaps maybe require a specialist diet, for example, those who are at risk of malnutrition or have difficulties in chewing and swallowing, is the food appropriate? Then, of course, it's about the insistence and support and encouragement that some people will need to enable them to eat. So that might be making sure that they can get packaging open on the food that they've ordered. It may mean providing physical assistance, but for some people it will simply be its support and encouragement to eat, and actually that's often overlooked, but it's incredibly important and can be the difference between somebody actually eating or leaving the tray untouched.